Hey everybody, it's Candy, aka Brown Eyed Girl 69. And basically this video that I'm making is very, spontaneous. This morning I woke up at about 10:30 and I got up, did my usual, checked my social media, which is always usually crickets chirping anyway, but I came onto the booby tubby streets and there was somebody that was live, so I went into his panel, his chat, and connected with a couple of other people that I hadn't got to chit chat with in a minute. And after that stream, I was sitting here having some thoughts about things, why people do certain things, why. Like today, I observed it. I've observed it in a couple of different areas, and it doesn't matter where I've observed this behavior. It's just the fact that I'm observing it, and I'm more aware of it, I guess. The behavior that I speak of is when somebody will post something, say like in a chat, and they'll leave it up long enough for a few seconds for people to possibly see it, and then they'll remove what they said. They'll retract their message. That's what I said, message retracted. Sometimes when I'm texting or chatting, when chat's going on, a couple of my buttons are really close together, like my space bar, my back button, and the enter button. It's like right all there in the same area. And sometimes if I get going too fast, I'll be like making a reply to somebody and I'll say like at and whoever it is I'm replying to. And then I go to hit the space bar, but accidentally I'll hit the enter. And it just pops up at whoever. So I might retract a message like that and start all over. And I've also seen people make community posts that they choose to retract. And you know what? I'm not downing anybody for doing those things. But that behavior sparked my gears a turning, so to speak. And it brought me back to some other things that were sort of related, but on the same energy level aspect, but in a different way. And, I don't even know why I'm making this video. I think I'm making this video because I feel like it's important, and I'm about to go to work here in a couple of hours. And I know by the time I get home tonight at 9:30, 10 o'clock, all this information that's in here right now won't be there when I get home. So I won't be genuinely felt. But basically what it comes down to is, like, and I can only use myself as an example. This is all based off of my own whatevers. My parents were raised in the silent generation. They were born in 1933. Every generation is programmed. Somehow, some way. Every generation is programmed. Well, the silent generation were programmed to basically be seen. Children were to be seen, but not heard. This generation was also programmed. I think the first ones really programmed in the quote, American dream, where you basically go to school, get a good education, go to college if you can afford it, or, get married and buy a house, have kids, etc., etc. And at the time, the man was the main provider because women really didn't work outside of the home. It was very rare if women worked outside the home. During wartime, women always worked outside of the home because the men were always away at war. So women were the ones running the factories and working in the factories and doing all the things they needed to do to keep production going. But yeah, they were sold a bill of goods, just like every generation's been sold a bill of goods in some shape, form, or fashion. Well, my parents couldn't have their own children. And to some people, that wouldn't be a big deal, you know? But to some people that desired the American dream to a point where they felt like if they didn't have the husband, if they didn't have the house, if they didn't have the children, what would that say about them in societal eyes? That they couldn't achieve, that they were underachiever, that they weren't good enough, you know? And the fact that she was able to marry a man, the fact that she was able to have that house, but she couldn't have her own kids. And that killed her. Why? Not because she truly wanted to have kids and love them and nurture them. No. Her children were going to be just seen and not heard. Well, here comes along a baby that they had to adopt so they could fit in to society. I was purchased. I was a commodity that they just purchased, you know? People don't like to look at it that way, but that's the harsh reality of adoption. Is that the children are purchased. Now, what the parents do with those children later on, do you think anybody cares? No. Now, I'm going to say this. She didn't kill me. She never killed me physically. But she killed my spirit. She definitely did that. And now, as a woman that's 54, almost 55 years old, I am still learning how to try to undo the damage that was done to me all those years ago. And I can only take one day at a time. And I only have one life to live. So I'm doing my best at trying to heal my inner wounds from years ago. But the thing about it is, all these wounds that she inflicted upon me was because of the wounds that was inflicted upon her, see? That's the thing. Is if we want to change things, we have to change things the way we are. And then if we change ourselves and the way we interact with others and the way we treat others, and if we treat others the way we want to be treated, eventually that rolls and rolls and goes and goes. But it's all a process, you know? And I think my whole main point in all of this is, you know, the fact that she wanted me to be what she wanted me to be. She never wanted me to be who I was meant to be. Or who I truly was, you know. I had a voice. If she said something to me that I didn't like, I wasn't the type that was just going to sit there and take it. I would, of course, backtalk her. And speak my mind. And stand up for myself. Because I had nobody else to stand up for me. Because I was an only child. I had no brothers. I had no sisters. I had nobody to talk to. My father, who was my main support, And the only one that ever would tell me he loved me, the only one that ever would show me physical affection, was most of the time gone. I would say he was home every night from the time I was a baby up until I was probably about 5. And then once I was 5 years old, he got a job with a company that required him to be away from home more often. So he wasn't home every night. Sometimes he might, be home every 2 or 3 nights. Sometimes he'd be gone for a week. Sometimes he'd be gone 2 or 3 weeks. It just depended on the job and what was going on at that particular time. But he worked in the oil field industry, so I grew up with a father who was not home all the time from the age of 5 on, and then he passed away when I was 17 years old. So I was raised by a woman that was non-nurturing, non-affectionate, didn't care about anybody else really. She only cared about herself and what others thought of her and how others viewed her. I was raised by a woman that in this town that we live in now, everybody liked her, loved her, thought she was this magnificent, wonderful mother. But they never saw what was going on behind closed doors. They never seen how she spoke to me. They never seen how she really gave me no room to express myself. She always says she didn't like an emotional child. I don't know, there was something she said to me and that I was thinking about today that she said to me a long time ago, and it kind of makes sense now that I think about it. What was it that she told me? She basically told me that if I was just to shut up and do what I was told, that it would make life easier. Because she was the second of 4 girls. Her older sister, Jane, I guess was sort of like me. She liked to speak her mind and stand up for herself. And because of that, I guess my grandpa didn't like that. And so he would discipline her for that. And so because of that, my mom would see Jane's behaviors because my mom was 5 years younger than her sister. And so my mom grew up basically seeing if Jane opened her mouth or spoke her mind, that she would get in trouble for it. So my mom was the type of person that never spoke her opinion, never opened her mouth, never said anything to try to go against anything, because she didn't want to get disciplined. She didn't want to get in trouble. So basically, that's the way she raised me to be. She tried to raise me to be, just shut up. Don't say anything. Just go along to get along. Well, you know what? I'm not one of those types of people. I never have been. And I look back and see it now that as a child, I never was one of those types of people that wanted to comply, to go along to get along. Fuck that. Why? Fudge that, Why? Why should I? Why shouldn't I be allowed to have an opinion just like everybody else? And so what if my opinion doesn't go with what everybody else thinks or believes, or that chooses to jump on a bandwagon? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't go along to get along. I'm not one of these types of people that's just going to jump on a bandwagon because everybody else is. I'm real. 100%. What you see is what you get. You know what I mean? I don't pull no punches. I have no time for it. And that was, I guess, a lot of the reason why I am the way I am is because I've seen that behavior in my mother growing up. And I probably don't see it as much today because I don't live under her roof, for one. And she's older, so she's, not out and about in the community like she used to be. But she does do things that does help the community and that probably does make her feel a little bit better about herself. Even though I know she's not really probably genuinely doing it from her heart 100%. But then again, I don't know. I try not to give too much connection to her because I've found over time and past experiences that I'll start trusting her again and maybe open my mouth and say things that I shouldn't, that she'll later use against me. And usually through my daughter. Somehow, some way, she usually tries to turn my daughter against me. Or she never really tries to turn Kelsey against, she never tries to turn me against Kelsey. She always targets my son-in-law. Always. Whether it's with me or with Kelsey, she always targets my son-in-law. It's just because she doesn't like how he is in certain aspects, and so she, like with me, always tries to control people in her life's relationships. I was 35 years old before I stood up to my mother and her controlling behavior and ways. Now I'm 54, almost 55, so it's been 20 years, almost, basically, since I stood up to my mother and told her, look, you're not going to treat me anymore. You're not going to treat me this way anymore. You're not going to tell me how to live my life, basically. And by me sitting here and talking to myself about certain situations and how I view things, it has helped me realize things and put pieces of the puzzle together in my mind and my heart. Maybe it helps me to heal a little bit better because it helps me to understand that I wasn't doing anything wrong by having my own opinion or having my own thoughts. And I was never wrong in trying to express my emotions, As you see, I'm a crier. I cry very easily when things touch my heart because it's just me. That's who I am. I'm a Cancer, It's part of the design, It's part of the design that I was born into. My mom didn't like that. My mom didn't like these. And basically, from the age of 5, from the moment that I found out the truth of my adoption, was the moment things changed. Because we were then on a different playing field where I knew the truth. And I guess the way my mother viewed it was like this. Well, now she knows the truth. She knows that we aren't her real parents. And so my mom had to amp up the ante, Because I knew the truth now. Not that she ever wanted to keep the truth from me. They knew eventually they would tell me the truth. They just didn't know how old I would be when the truth came unveiled. They were just told to basically tell me whenever they felt like I would understand. And so ever since I began to understand, my life was different. My mother, like I said, I've never bonded with anybody. I wasn't given a chance to bond with my birth mother. I wasn't bonded with my adoptive mother. And even after being found by my birth mother, I never bonded with the woman there is a lot of resemblance. Why wouldn't there be? She's my half-sister. My father, her father are the same man. Her father being my grandfather. So now y'all know, I think I said before in another video, I've made videos on the subject matter. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, I wasn't even able to bond with her even after she found me because of the truth of the matter, the truth of the situation, the facts. The trauma was too deep for her. The trauma was too deep. And with me being presented in her reality, it was too much for her to handle and process. So it was just easier if I was sort of pushed out of the picture. And life goes on. And it has and it does. But I guess it all that matters is I know the truth of where I started and where I've been. And that's all I can do is try to be the best person I can be to myself. Because if I'm not good to myself, then how am I good to others? You know? That's what I don't get sometimes when I go to my job and I look out in society and I just see all these people just going along to get along. Just doing the things that they gotta do just to survive. And they're not even happy in their lives. Some people are. I bet some people, a very good, high vibrational energy comes through my line. And then there's other times that I meet people that are just downtrodden. And then I have elderly customers. So then I think, wow, that's going to be me one day, you know, maybe. I'm an empathetic person. I feel everybody's energy. And maybe working in the public isn't the best thing for me. But it's one of the best things I know how to do. And where I am at the time being. So I shouldn't be ashamed of that. Everybody's where they need to be at this specific time for the purpose that's intended for them. Everybody have a much blessed day. I'll probably try to upload this once I get to work. So I won't have to deal with the phone or anything like that. I'll at least try to start it uploading before I go into work. And I guess I make these videos so I can go back later if I need to look at any information. But I think I'm starting to learn now that I am who I am. I've always been who I am. And I've always fought to be who I am. But as a child, I was suppressed. Now, as an adult, I'm going back and I'm reliving some certain moments in my life to try to heal that little girl that I was, that fought so hard to be original, who fought so hard just to be herself. And you know what? You go, because you achieved it. Because I am who you are. Candy. Candy's always been Candy. And now Candy's not afraid to be Candy because she has nobody holding her back. The person that holds her back is herself. And that's it. People take personal responsibility. Everything else will be as it is and as it's meant to be. And until the next time, much peace, love, happiness, hugs, nugs, and love y'all.